Do you think creative Darwinism depends on pain tolerance?
I think that's a really interesting question, and I think creative Darwinism, there's a couple of elements to it. I think there's a risk. Is it pain tolerance? I'm not sure. People will put up with a lot of pain. They will do. If they want something enough, they will tend to put up with a lot of pain. I do think there's a risk tolerance element in creativity, which not everyone has. There is another element, which is, I mean, obviously taste is a part of this, but sometimes I see or listen to work and I just think, this is no good. You know, so part of it is that some work is better than others. Some ideas are better than others. That is just the way it is. And I know that because within myself, I throw away 75% of my ideas. They just die. You know, like an extinct species, they die and they never come back. So there is a strong quality element, obviously, but the risk taking is a big thing. And I know sometimes I can see people being impressed or interested in what I do, and I kind of think part of them would want to do that. Not everyone, but some people think, I want to do that. But I've had other people, you know, would they want to take the risk? Because I know other people, very talented people, and they say, I don't know how you can do what you do. Before you've produced something, you let people know about it, so that by the time it comes out, so there's a lot more interest generated about the project. That is highly risky, because especially if it's a good idea, because a good idea and a good product is not the same thing. You know, I have lots and lots of good ideas. My product varies. The quality of my product varies on, you know, just how well I can do implementing the idea. So, but the good ideas often get widely publicised, especially when there's a fixed date for the premiere or the performance. And the risk then is I could fall flat on my face, and then the pain comes in, I suppose. But I would put it more, it's to do with, for the way I approach things, it's to do with risks. And it's funny because I'm not much of an entrepreneur. You know, I'm an embedded entrepreneur. I work at Plymouth University. I have a salary. So am I really risky? I guess what I would find hard to do is freelancing. Now that, I think a lot of people probably who would watch this, they are actually aiming to go freelancing. I don't know whether I look up to people like that or think they're mad, because they are literally in the situation where if their risk fails, they have no money. They have, and it's not just about money either. It's about the self. It's defining ourselves. If I spend 2 years freelancing on a project and I fail, it doesn't feel like the project's failed. It feels like I've failed. My identity as a person would feel like it's failed. That's a risk which I'm not yet ready to take. You know, and I don't need to, because I love writing academic papers almost as much as I love composing and doing films. I think if I spent all my time doing creative arts, I would probably get a bit sick of it. If I spent all my time doing science, I'd get a bit sick of it, because there's those two parts of my brain which need filling every so often. But if I miss out on the creative stuff for a while, that's when I sit at my desk and think, I want to walk out of this room. I can't take it.
It almost reminds me of trading in a sense, and almost having a sense of, I don't want to say suicidal, because that's very strong, but in some sense, when you pull that trigger and you trade and you push that buy button, in some sense, you could fail miserably, and there's almost an element of suicide is a very strong word, but you almost have to be willing, it seems like, to risk a creative death or a death of your identity, in some sense, to be like that. Does that make sense to you?
It does.
Okay.
You're digging in an interesting way here, because it isn't, there's kind of this thing of like, if it's great, if you build it, they will come. You know, if it's great, it'll happen. But in fact, there's so many people out there throwing themselves into the road. You know, like, I'll give anything to make this work. I'll give anything to make this work. If you're not a risk taker, you know, I think it's going to be hard work for you. You know, I think I intuitively knew that. And it's funny you mentioned traders. I mean, used to work on Wall Street before I worked at Plymouth University. I was a few years before, actually, I was a quant analyst, a rocket scientist on Wall Street. And I think I liked the element of risk, but I intuitively, I'm not a trader. You know, I'm not really a very good people person. I think traders, you have to be able to read people. You have to be very. I'm not great at seeing what's going on with people, and I think therefore my talents lie more in the creative. Therefore, if I'm going to press a button on that trade and risk the trader would be risking whatever, 5 million. If I'm going to press a button and risk my reputation and my future career, it's going to be on the thing that I know how to do business with, or that I'm best at. And it seems that events have conspired to teach me that this is what I'm best at. This is, that I'm not uniquely, but well positioned to be good at. And therefore that's where I'll take the risk. I think that helps. Once you know you've got a unique product, once I know, I'm willing to throw myself into the road. That's a bad, metaphor, but I'm willing to stick my neck out because this is the best of me. And if I'm going to fail with the best of me, then I failed. But that's all right. But I haven't yet had a big fail. And the good news is that I know that if I do have a big fail, and if this was just after a big fail, I'll be saying a different thing. But I know if I do have a big fail, it will help define my future for me. Rather than destroying me, it would help me to, having to deal with a big failure, I'm sure would have an impact on me in a positive way. I think I'm theorizing here, but you read about it. That's what it is. I read about it. I hear about it all the time. The entrepreneurs, they have failed businesses. I haven't had really a failed business yet, if you know what I mean. So I'm confident that if that did happen, it would just teach me more, and I just have to move on. And so in other words, the payoff can be so great if I take the risk, and the failure, if the risk doesn't come off, is not so bad. No one's going to kill me. I'm not going to throw myself off a bridge. I'm going to pick myself up. I'm going to get back to doing my job. I'm going to go through a period of pain, but I'm going to learn, and I'm going to be a stronger person and hopefully a better artist afterwards.